The sun shall surely rise and set on days of triumph as well as tragedy. Let's dive into it. All right, guys, I have meandered my way over to Union County. Going to ride the Richard Russell Parkway just a little bit. And I'm going to be totally transparent with you guys. I have shot the beginning of this video twice. And it's just hard to find the words, hard to convey what it is that you want to say, what you're trying to say. Of course, it's been a bad week for Gen X. We've lost, of course, Malcolm Jamal Warner, who played Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show, who also, many of you who may not know, he was on the television series Sons of Anarchy. He did about 2 or 3 episodes where he was in a motorcycle club. As I turn on to the Richard Russell here. Highway 348. This is not a new channel, guys, or a new road on the channel. But it is a pretty ride. But yeah, man, that's you think about Malcolm Jamal Warner's role in television history, especially with Gen X and The Cosby Show, because The Cosby Show was one of our, big shows for our generation. And, one of the major episodes that I remember that sticks out most of all, there's 2. But the first one being the episode where they brought dyslexia to the forefront. Of course, Malcolm Jamal Warner suffered from that learning disability in real life. So by the time that episode was over, most of the country knew what dyslexia was. So it was a big thing. It was a big deal. I remember it back when it happened. He kind of played it off like everybody thought he was stupid for all those years and he just had a learning disability. But one of the funniest episodes that I remember him being in was the one where he pierced his ear. He came in, of course, he didn't want to tell his dad, Bill Cosby. He didn't want to tell his dad that he had pierced his ear, so they ended up in the bedroom and they were sitting on the bed and they went through this whole turning the head and moving, and it was a really funny sequence that he was involved with. But Malcolm Jamal Warner, 54-year-old, still young, very sad. I know he had fought demons all his life, but he had conquered his demons, the best I understand, the way I've read everything. He would also go on to have a television show with a young comedian named Eddie Griffin, if y'all have ever heard of Eddie Griffin. It was called Malcolm and Eddie. Eddie Griffin, of course, if you were a Deuce Bigalow fan, a fan of the Rob Schneider movies Deuce Bigalow, you remember Eddie Griffin played the pimp in that movie series. But rest in peace to Malcolm Jamal Warner, and thoughts, love, and respect goes out to his family. Sending, thoughts and prayers your folks' way. It's bad when someone passes, but to pass in a tragic accident like that just adds a whole nother level of sadness to it. Of course, he would drown, would be the cause of his death, would be drowning. So yeah, rest in peace to Malcolm Michael Madsen. Michael Madsen died a few weeks ago, and I had saw it in the news or somewhere on maybe YouTube when he had died. I didn't get to make it into the video. I was in the middle of doing something else. But Michael Madsen, in my opinion, now all these things I'm saying about these guys today, guys, is just going to be my opinion, my feelings. But in my opinion, Michael Madsen was Mickey Rourke cool. If you ever watched the movie Hell Ride, of course, Michael Madsen played a character called the Gent in that movie. It really was a good movie. It was a fun movie, fast-paced movie. Michael Madsen has played in a lot of movies. Played a biker in a lot of movies. He did ride a motorcycle. He was a member of a motorcycle club out in California. But yeah, man, Michael Madsen, rest in peace to Michael Madsen. And of course, two big impacts. The first one being Ozzy Osbourne. Guys, I gotta tell you, I've been trying to find the words for Ozzy. You take a man like Ozzy Osbourne, I believe 76 years young when he passed away. Of course, back in 2020, Ozzy was diagnosed with Parkinson's. But man, just his last concert, guys, was just a couple of weeks ago. His farewell concert, and I've watched the documentary on it last night, as I'm sure the rest of the world has. You know, we're getting reacquainted with, I saw somebody had posted, it might have been Hooligan or it might have been Ray Gregory, somebody had posted a short video using War Pigs. Of course, War Pigs is one of Black Sabbath's major songs. Ozzy covered his solo career as well. But for Gen X, man, Ozzy, we didn't know a whole lot about the Black Sabbath thing. I didn't. As I, adolescent, came into adulthood, Ozzy was well into his solo career. He did a song with Zakk Wylde, Zakk Wylde played the guitar on the song. But it was called Never Gonna Stop. It was one of my favorite songs right now. It's in Never Gonna Stop is in heavy rotation on my Spotify playlist. Just a great song. I just think about the chorus of that song and I think about Ozzy's life. This was Ozzy saying, "This is who I am. With me or not with me, this is who I am." But the chorus of that song goes, "All my life I've been over the top. I don't know what I'm doing. All I know is I don't want to stop. All fired up, gonna go till I drop. You're either in or in the way. Please don't make me, I don't want to stop." Man, what a great song. And then Zakk Wylde laid down an amazing guitar solo in that song. But guys, Ozzy Osbourne is one of those guys that transcended his genre, his business, his lane, if you will. We like to say people staying in their own lane. Ozzy transcended his lane. He began life, of course, Black Sabbath as lead vocalist for Black Sabbath. An amazing singer, an amazing lyricist. And then he transcended into movies and television with the Osbournes. The world got to meet then Jackie Kelly, two of their 4 kids. I think Ozzy has 4 kids. I know 2 of them tried to stay low-key and didn't want to be in the public eye, but Jackie Kelly did not shy away from the public eye. And then, of course, we got to meet Ozzy's wife, Sharon, and she's just a dynamite spitfire, keeping Ozzy on his toes. But yeah, I mean, you know, how many people can say that they did their last concert 2 weeks, 3 weeks before they passed away? You know, Ozzy performed, and I watched the documentary on that because Ozzy had said that he had went off of all of his pain medication because he would rather be in pain and be clear in his head so he could deliver at his level. certainly the promoters didn't expect it from him. He expected it from himself. So, I mean, if that alone doesn't make you a legend or make you an icon, then I don't know whatever will. But, to be able to do all of that, and then, and we can have this debate forever. Did he know he was going to die? Did he feel it coming on? I mean, I don't know. I've always heard people say when someone passed away, if they acted differently leading up to their death, some people will say, well, it's kind of like they knew. It's kind of like they felt like something was going to happen, something was wrong, something was off. Certainly, Ozzy could have felt that, but who are we to say for sure? All right, guys, as we meander our way on over the mountain, out of Union County into White County. But yeah, guys, Ozzy was, Ozzy was a crossover star. I mean, he was a superstar. And that's something that's not afforded to everyone. Not everyone gets that opportunity to transcend the business that they're in and to be able to go into other entertainment mediums. So rest in peace, Ozzy. Godspeed, brother. I've heard Ozzy give his testimony about the Lord, about his life with God. Believe he was saved. But yeah, man, thoughts go out, prayers to his children, to Sharon, to all of his fans. Now, I'm not talking so much on Malcolm and Ozzy because I don't know a lot. I know more about Hulk Hogan, and that's who we're going to talk about now. Because probably this one impacts me because of my wrestling background. Because Hulk Hogan, Generation X, we got to see that magical time of Hogan, the 1980s, exercise, eat your vitamins, say your prayers guy. And then we got to see him just a short decade later become Hulk Hogan, Hollywood Hulk Hogan. His transition into Hollywood Hogan in WCW, of course, forming with Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, the NWO. It was another one of those things that just revitalized his career, reset it all. He had said in several interviews that he felt like the red and yellow, say your prayers, eat your vitamins phase had ran its course. And he was actually transitioning completely out of wrestling. Of course, by the time the 90s began, there was the scandal with the WWF, the steroid scandal. Subsequently, Hogan would leave wrestling and transition into Hollywood. I mean, he, listen, guys, we all talk about The Rock being a, movie star and wrestler and all this. Hulk Hogan did it way before Dwayne Johnson did. Hulk Hogan was making blockbuster movies before Dwayne Johnson even became a wrestler. I mean, Mr. Nanny, Suburban Commando, No Holds Barred. Hulk Hogan was legitimately a superstar. And, a promoter such as a Vince McMahon Jr. would not want to hear you say this, but Hulk Hogan outgrew the business of professional wrestling. He was bigger than the business of professional wrestling. And he was the very first ever superstar to make that transition, to become bigger than the business that he was in. Of course, his transition into Hollywood began with Rocky. where he played the character Thunderlips, the ultimate male, which would cause him to lose his job with then Vince McMahon Sr.'s WWF, the Worldwide Wrestling Federation. So Hulk, would transition back to the AWA, the American Wrestling Alliance. I think by that time, Hulk that we would come to know and love in the 80s was starting to be formed. He was honing those skills while he was in the AWA. And then Vince McMahon Jr. bought out his dad's company, and the Worldwide Wrestling Federation became the World Wrestling Federation. And one of the first big moves Vince Jr. made was to rehire Hulk Hogan to the company. Because, Vince Jr., whether you like the guy or not, and listen, guys, all of these folks have controversies surrounding them. So I'm not here to hash out the controversy. I'm not here to talk about the kangaroo court. I'm just here to talk about the legacy that these people left behind. So with that being said, Hulk Hogan would go back to WWF, where he would become in 1984 the WWF champion, a title that he would set a record that still stands. I think today he held that title over 3 years solid straight without losing it. And that's when the Rock and Wrestling Connection came along. Him and Wendy Richter were kind of spearheading that. You had your Rowdy Roddy Pipers, your Andre the Giants, your Nikolai Volkoffs, your Iron Cheeks. You had a whole cast of characters around Hulk Hogan who helped build him into this mythical status that he was in, to subsequently cause him to transcend the business of professional wrestling. And then after the 90s came along and he transitioned out of wrestling, he started shooting a TV series called Thunder in Paradise, which I enjoyed. I watched Thunder in Paradise, thought it was good. Kind of corny at the time. Some of the words and some of the phrases were kind of corny, but it was 90s television. Everything was corny. Because what struck with us Gen X, and I know I'm kind of all over the place with this, but I'm trying to bring it all in together into one nice little package. We were the show me generation. And I've said this before on this channel. We weren't the just tell us not to rock the boat. Don't tell us not to do it. Show us why it's a bad idea to rock the boat. Show us why it's a bad idea to do, this, that, and the other. We were very much the show me generation. And we were very visual. Hulk Hogan then would transition back into wrestling, signing with Ted Turner's WCW. And then the biggest move that anybody could say Hulk made in his entire career was, for the first time since 1984, the red and yellow went away, and he took on the black and white of the New World Order. Of course, and like I said, along with Kevin Nash and Scott Hall. And they rode a wave of success for several years off of that. Today, you can turn on WWE programming, and you can still see a good fair share and number of NWO shirts in the crowd. But, it was just that time, and we've talked about this in Generation X. It was at a time when so many things come together that made being alive and growing up in that time just that special. I mean, of course, yes, you had your Hulk Hogan's, you had your Ozzy Osbournes, you had your Guns N' Roses, you had your Michael Jordans, your Bo Jacksons, your Lawrence Taylor. And if you've never watched the Lawrence Taylor mixtape, Lawrence Taylor was a force of nature in the football world. But, you had the Michael Jordans, like I said. You had the Scottie Pippens, the Dennis Rodmans. all of these people came together just at the same time, and like I said, they made it just that special of a time to be alive. And Hulk Hogan and Ozzy Osbourne knew how to tap that. They knew how to tap into what pop culture was doing. And of course, coming from the wrestling business, you have to listen. Changes, and I've heard Triple H say this in an interview a while back. Change is uncomfortable. It is. You get comfortable, you get used to doing things a certain way, and sometimes you just have to shake it up a little bit. And Hulk did that with, of course, the transition into Hollywood Hulk Hogan. He completely reinvented who he was. He went from being a lost relic of the 80s into the essential star of the 90s. He was the blueprint. All of us in wrestling knew it. We begrudged him for it sometimes, so there was a lot of jealousy toward him. People, who felt like they were just as good as Hogan that didn't get the shine, but that wasn't what it was all about. It was just fun to watch him do it. And, he took wrestling in the 80s, which at the time was experiencing a low, which was why Vince Jr. was able to buy the company from his dad, is because the business was changing. And them old heads knew it. They could sense it. Guys like Vince Sr., other promoters, because this country used to be broken up in territories. And Vince came in and bought his dad's, and then he started doing something that they had said they would never do. And that was buying other territories, buying other wrestling companies' television spots, then buying the companies. Of course, one of the most famous battles Vince Jr. had in doing what he was doing with the territories was with Georgia Championship Wrestling, which ran from Minnesota all the way to Florida, northern Florida. And of course, at the time, Ole Anderson was the shot caller. He was the main man for the Georgia Championship Wrestling. And but Hulk seen what Vince was doing. You had crazy things happening, like cable television was coming into its own. So you had companies like Georgia Championship Wrestling who were vying for time on television. They were essentially in competition. A lot of times they were in competition with themselves. Because Vince at that time, Vince Jr. was, bad as I hate to say it, Vince Jr. was running circles around them. At the time, you had the National Wrestling Alliance, which was a alliance of all these small promotions. You had, of course, Georgia Championship Wrestling, WWWF, you had Portland, and of course, north of the border, you had Alberta, you had Stu Hart. But Hogan and Vince Jr. saw what pro wrestling could be, and man, Vince laid that shoulder up on Hulk, laid that company up on Hulk Hogan's shoulders, and Hogan ran with it. So, by the time the end of the 90s come along, even if you had never watched a wrestling match, you knew who Hulk Hogan was. That speaks to who the man was. Hogan was a performer. He was an entertainer. He understood what it meant to entertain people. And, again, that's something that people in the entertainment business, even us here on YouTube today, all these years removed from that, we still struggle with the entertainment aspect. Am I doing it the right way? Am I saying it the right way? Are they going to like this? Are they not going to like this? Guys like Hulk Hogan and even Ozzy Osbourne, they knew how to tap that. They knew how to tap that pop culture seed, and they knew how to make a go of it, if that makes sense. But yeah, man, that's, it's just hard. Like I said, it's, what is the measure of a man? I mean, is it by his ability to love? Is it his ability to be loved? Is it by the life that he leaves behind when he dies? I mean, I think it's all those things. I think the measure of a man is just really an in-depth conversation, And like I said, you put aside the demons, you put aside the complications, you put aside the controversy, and what you end up with at the end of the day was just entertainers who did their thing. And man, Ozzy Osbourne was a great example of doing your thing. So was Hulk Hogan, 71 years young. July 24th, Hogan passed away. He had been having trouble, he's had several operations over the years, hips, knees. But I can remember back when Macho Man Randy Savage passed away, WWE Home Video had released a video about it. And I can remember Hulk talking about then that he had ran into Randy Savage at the heart doctor because Savage had his mom there. And Hulk was there having a heart cath done then. So the thing with the heart's been going on for a while. But there it is, guys. That's kind of just my thoughts about it. Guys who in their lane transcended. They became bigger than what made them big. Music for Ozzy, wrestling for Hulk. And they were able to transition and become icons, cultural icons. Whatever label you want to lay on them, they met it. But I think I'm going to back off here in just a minute, guys. I'm going to try to get us on over, and we're going to go back across Blood Mountain into Blair. And we'll ride down Blood Mountain together, so y'all just hang tight for a minute. All right, guys. I got to notice that this video's running a little long, so I'm going to go ahead and pull the plug on it right here and say we got us a impromptu episode. This is not going to be a regular Monday episode. As of the time me shooting this video, today is Saturday. I'm going to try to get back home, get it edited, and try to get it uploaded today. If not, I may go ahead and do it tomorrow for Sunday. But anyway, it won't be an Monday episode, but rest in peace to all these folks that we've lost. Ozzy, Hulk, Malcolm Madsen, all the others. But guys, until the next time, y'all take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And hey, check out some of our old videos. If you like what you see, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button. But until the next time, guys, y'all take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And hey, thanks for watching.